So I want to talk today about trust. Trust is very hard for me. Um, I've been through a lot in my life, man. Um, Growing up, being gay was something that was looked bad upon, frowned upon. Why? Because people don't understand what being gay is all about. When religion came into play, a lot of people down people that are gay. My mother was one of them. And she says she wanted to protect me. I didn't find out later till she had a gay cousin that that was the reason why she was being very overprotective. But she was trying to change me, and you can't change a gay person. This is who we are. You know what I'm saying? This is not something that you can actually change in us. So this stud chronicle, I want to talk about trust, because trust is something that it's hard for me to do. It's hard for me to trust. Even if I love you, it's still hard for me to trust you. Because why? I've been through a lot. I've been through a whole lot. People that say they love me, I trusted, you know, be the closest people to me. I trusted. And when it comes to people having expectations, it's very hard. You expect people to love you the way you love them. You expect people to, treat you right or do you right. That's very hard. That's hard because why? Trust is hard. It is very hard to trust people, especially when you're a nice person. Being a nice person is hard for me because people always like to take advantage of my kindness. The saying, take your kindness for weakness. And so I've been through that. I've been down that road before where I've been treated bad because I'm a kind person, and I've been nice to almost everybody that I've been to. I can't really say it's a lot of people in my life that I was actually mean to, because I believed in being nice. I believe in, having a good heart. I believe in doing right by people because the one thing that I'm afraid of is karma. Karma is something that you don't want to deal with. It's not, karma can be very bad. It can be something that comes back on you very hard, very harshly. Man, I've been down many roads in my life, many roads, and it's not just family, but it's also relationships. So when you're in a religious type family, like I grew up in a very religious family, whereas both sides, were very religious, my father's side and my mother's side. And a lot of times they didn't like, me being open, uh, you know, about who I am. So I kept it to myself. I didn't want to tell nobody that I was gay, and I knew for a long time who I was, but when you have a religious family, when you have people that are very religious, it's hard to talk about your sexuality because why? A lot of people, they start tripping, especially your family. When it comes to religion, they think, oh, being gay is an abomination. Like, it's just something that's terrible, so how can you get past that? Being a gay person, how can you get past that? How can you feel like, something is better, for you in your life? How can you love your family if your family don't love you for who you are? That's very hard being gay, you know, especially me being a stud since I'm masculine, and it's hard for my family to accept, you know, me being gay. So I kept it to myself for a very long time, And I pretended to be something that I wasn't, being straight, just to please my family, just to make them happy. And that was hard for me. That was very, very hard for me. Why? Because they so religious, and religion, they think everybody gay is going to hell. You know what I'm saying? They don't think that God made gay people. But I've been this way. They say that God knows who you are. Definitely knows who I am. Knew who I was before I was born. Heck, I died when I was born. So the fact that God brought me back to life and already knew I was gay, so it must have been meant for me to be here, right? It must have been. So yeah, trust for me is very hard. It's very hard. And I've lived a rough life because I'm gay, you know? And I thought that I needed to get away from my family in order for me to have freedom, freedom, freedom to be myself, freedom to live the life that I want to live, you know, which is to freely be me, freely be gay, you know. I'm a masculine female. And for a lot of families, that's hard to understand. A female being very masculine, that's hard for them. Why? Because that's not something that happens in the family. Like, there's only two people in my family that's studs. It's just me and my niece, you know. And if it wasn't for my niece being gay, I would have been the only one, you know. So I felt good when my niece turned out to be gay and she turned out to be masculine like me. That felt great. You feel me? Because then I had somebody who can relate to me, you know, and I wasn't the only one. Because being the only gay person in your family is very hard. You know, nobody else in the family is gay. And everybody else, they have straight relationships, so they're very religious. So they're not understanding where you coming from. They don't understand your lifestyle, you know, and they feel like that gay people's lifestyle is something, you know, that's hard. Like, we're never going to make it in life. Like, we're never going to be something in life. And that's how they feel about gay people. So, you know, it was hard for me. It was hard for me to trust if I trust my family with my secrets, and I couldn't trust my family with my life. How can I trust anybody else? You know? So when I got into relationships, it was hard on me. It was very, very hard because why? You know, I had to deal with not having a family, and I had to deal with, you know, dealing with their family. You know, when you get into a relationship, you're not just in a relationship with them, you're in a relationship with the family too. Right. So I had a hard time in life, you know, when it came to relationships. Thank God, you know, I'm not in that situation now that I'm in a relationship, whereas no matter what happens, I'm accepted, you know, and that feels good because it was hard for me. It was hard for me, you know. I had to isolate myself from my family just so I can have my own freedom. And to me, freedom is important. It's very important to me. Freedom of choice, freedom to be me, freedom to live the life that I want to live. That's important, you know, that's important. So trust was hard for me. I met many friends, you know, and when you meet friends, you don't know who these people are, you know, so it's hard for me to get close to people when I just meet them because I've been down that road where I met people and they say they're your friend, right? You know, when you first meet people, yeah, they just want to be your friend. You know, they just want to be close to you. They want to say they're your friends, but really, are they your friends? You know, and that's hard to understand. And people told me that everybody doesn't deserve you, which is true. Everybody doesn't deserve me. So I've been down that road. I've been through a lot of stuff, you know, I've been down there. So I had to really think about what trust means. Even when I got in relationships, it was hard for me to trust because I had been hurt so much. So many people that say they love me, they deceive me, you know, and they hurt me. And so it was hard for me to just go down the road of, hey, you know, I'm going to really trust this person. I'm really going to put all my trust in this person. When you meet somebody, you know, even if you love them for a long time, it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust. It is so hard to trust. I know because it was hard for my baby to trust me, let alone for me to trust her. It went both ways. Even though we loved each other, it was still hard for the trust because why? We both been through some shit. We've been hurt before, you know? She went through bad relationships. I went through bad relationships. And that's hard. And I used to think, you know, keeping a barrier, you know, keeping a, uh, you know, making a person be the way you want them to be in a relationship, that's hard too. That's hard too because control is something that you don't have when it comes to other people. You don't have that type of control. You don't have control over the relationship, but when you get into a relationship, you want that person to be happy just like they want you to be happy. So yes, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's a task. that you go through when it comes to trust and a relationship. So it's hard for me to trust. I try, man. I try. I try. But I've been deceived so much that I can't believe words that people say. People will tell you anything that you want to hear. They will tell you anything that you want to hear just to get what they want from you, just to use you, just to abuse you. And I've been there. Because I'm a nice person, people feel like, hey, they could just do me wrong, do me any type of way. And I've been there many, many, many times. You heard? I've been in most of my relationships. I was the one working, paying for everything. You heard me? They ain't work. They ain't really paid for nothing. I paid for everything. And what did I get out of it? Nothing but a heartache and pain. Nothing but somebody doing me wrong, cheating on me, messing over me. I've been there. I've done that. That was hard for me. When you're in that type of relationship, it is hard to trust. That is the hardest thing in the world to do, is to trust, especially if you've been beaten down over and over again. And I ain't talking physically, I'm talking emotionally. I've been there. So yeah, the things that I go through is because of trust. It's because it's hard for me to trust. That's so hard for me to do. It's hard for me to let my guard down. It's hard for me to not protect myself from being hurt. Why? Because I've been there. I've been hurt so many times. If it wasn't my family, my friends, relationships, it's all hurt. It's all pain. And that pain and that hurt, they tell you to forgive, they tell you to forget, but you can't forget what happened to you. You can't forget that. So it's hard to believe that the next person that you meet or somebody that you've been knowing is not going to hurt you. It's hard to believe that. Why? Because trust is hard for people. It's hard for me. It's very, very hard. And I've been there. You heard me? Been there. It seems like it's something that's simple, but it's not. Trusting people is not simple. It's hard, you know? You don't want to trust people with your life. It's hard to trust people with your heart. That is the hardest thing in the world to do, especially when it comes to love. And I love my baby. I love my baby. I love my baby. You hear me? But getting into a relationship with a poly relationship, you know, that was hard for me to accept. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sure. I said, yeah, in the beginning that I accepted, you know, I could deal with it. But truthfully, I couldn't deal with it because I had no idea what was in store. I had no idea what I was going to go through. I had no idea that seeing my woman with somebody else would hurt me until I actually been through it, you know? And that was my first time that I actually been through that type of relationship. First time. So I had to accept it, you know? And it was hard for me to accept it. I had to realize that I'd rather my woman be free to be herself than for me to put her in a bottle and box her up, keep her from being free to be herself. I had to realize that. You know, I couldn't understand like people like Monique that was in an open relationship and how she was in an open relationship and you know, how could she deal with something like that? How do you deal with an open relationship? You know, that's got to be the hardest thing in the world. But then I started to think about when I was, you know, at home growing up and how I wasn't free to be myself. I wasn't free to be myself. I felt like I was in captivity, you know, like I couldn't just, you know, freedom to, you know, just be gay. I didn't have that luxury. I didn't have that freedom. Every time I went to Tennessee, I had to wear a dress. I fought my mother in elementary school every single day to wear a dress. So I wasn't free to be me. I wasn't free to be myself, and it hurt me. It hindered me to the point where I wanted to be away from my family because why? I felt like I don't want to change me. I don't want to keep changing myself to please somebody else. So I know how that feels. I know how that feels. So I had to realize with my woman that I had to make sure that she's free to be herself. You know, my baby, she's bisexual. She's not gay. If she decides today or tomorrow to be with a man, what am I to do? Well, she decided to be with another woman. And maybe having an open relationship is not so bad. Why? Because I want her to be free. I don't want her to feel like she's trapped. I want her to be free to be herself. The greatest thing you can do in a relationship is free that person. Free them. Give them the freedom to be themselves. Give them the freedom to express who they are. The minute you try to trap them, the minute you try to, stop them from being who they are, that's when you go through stuff, man. That's when your relationship starts to fall because you can't corner somebody. You can't box them up. You can't put them in a box, whereas, they're not free to be themselves. So I had to realize that. I had to realize me, being mad about being in a three-person relationship wasn't right for me to be mad. Because I needed my baby to be free just like I want to be free. I don't want her to trap me in a situation that I don't want to be in. I don't want her to stop me from being free because I wasn't free. I wasn't free growing up. I was trapped. It's like I was in prison. I couldn't be myself. I had to continuously be this other person. And going to Tennessee all the time and wearing dresses and going to church all the time, like that wasn't me. That was my family. That wasn't who I am. So I couldn't be myself, you know? And some of the happiest relationships in the world are the ones who there's no limitations. When you put limits on people, you're basically stopping them from being themselves. So I didn't want to limit my baby. I had to realize me putting limitations on her, me trying to control her, that would mess up our relationship. So I had to let her be free to be herself. Because me letting her be free it's going to help her love me more. It's going to help her love me more. And sometimes you have to realize that. I couldn't figure out the entanglement for Jada and Will Smith's, relationship. Who would think of something like that? Who would think, hey, to be in a entanglement, right? But when you talk to them and you talk about the problems that they have in their relationship sexually or, some other kind of way. I was in relationships with bisexual women where I wasn't enough for them. They needed more. They needed to go out and get them a guy or, and I just couldn't understand why somebody would hurt me, like that. Why would you go out and cheat on me? Why would you go out and do something like that to me? But then I had to realize, in any relationship, you can't really please them all the time. You can't be everything for them all the time. Sometimes relationships, they get bored or, relationships, they want something different. People are adventurous. They want to try new things. That's why I say in my marriage, I want to try everything because I feel like, hey, I need to make my woman my freak. And I think most people should do that in their relationship. You should make your woman your freak, bruh. That way you ain't going out, doing something else. But sometimes when you allow that person to be free, they'll love you more. They ain't going nowhere. They're going to stick right by your side. Why? Because you're allowing them to be free. That is a trust in itself, to be able to trust yourself to allow that person to be free. Free to be themselves, free to do what they want to do. And I had to. I had to let my baby do what she want to do. Because why? I can't stand in her way of her happiness. I can't stand in the way of her freedom. Many of us in relationships, we don't think about that. We don't even think about the long term. How can a person keep a marriage going for 30, 40 years? Sometimes in that relationship, those people, they stop having sex. They just so used to being around each other that that's it in their relationship. Or sometimes the guy might go out and cheat on the girl. Because why? He's not satisfied. He ain't getting enough. But these are things that people need to talk about in a relationship, and they don't really talk about that. They don't. They don't talk about these type of things. And I had to realize that in my relationships, I failed because I didn't have these conversations. I didn't have these conversations, and I wanted so much to not let them be who they were. My baby is a loving person. She's an adventurous person. She's a beautiful person. And no matter who she's with, she loved me. That means no matter where she goes, she's going to come home to me. And as long as I allow her to be free, she'll love me even more. If my family would allow me to be free, I would have been there. No expectations, no limitations. Sometimes when you expect things in a relationship, most of the time, you're let down. Because why? You shouldn't expect anything from anybody. You should just expect them to be themselves, expect them to be free, to be who they are. And that was important for me. That is important for me. Because I wouldn't want my baby to not be free to be herself. To not be free to live the life that she wants to live. I mean, in this life, we only get one life, man. One life. One life. So who are you in this lifetime? What adventures can you take in this lifetime? You feel me? Think about that. Some people spend their whole entire life and never get to do the things that they've always wanted to do or try. Why? Because they putting limitations on their own life. Yeah. I've been there. I've done that. And even though I'm gay, I slept with a man before. Sure did. I wanted to see. I was curious. I wanted to know what it was all about. And I found out. But I also found out I don't like it. I found that out too. So the only way you'll know if you like something is if you try it, right? So I tried it and I found out I don't like it. So yeah, I'm gay, this is me, ain't no getting around it, this is who I am. So I had to be that person. And have I ever tried a threesome or anything like that? No, I haven't. But who said you can't? Who said you can't try it? Like life is about adventure. It's about having fun. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone. I know because I've been there, you know? Sometimes you just have to be bold and do stuff that you never done before. Just like people that probably never bungee jumped before, they'll go do that just because it's a new adventure. Go to a different country just because it's a new adventure. Kiss a girl just because it's a new adventure. Look, you only have one life to live, man. How you gonna live that life? You gonna live that life not ever trying nothing in your life? I don't want to be that person. I want to have adventures in my life because everything doesn't have to be with rules. Freedom is important. Freedom to express yourself, freedom to love, freedom to be you. So yeah, I don't want to put no limitations on myself or on my baby. And that's where trust come in at. Because if you trust each other and you love each other enough to let each other be free, you don't have nothing to worry about. Even if you have an open marriage or an open relationship, if they go out and they decide they want to have fun one day, they coming back home to you. What are you mad about? Huh? Because love is love. They gonna love you regardless. Having a one night stand or having an adventure, that is not love. That's just fun. So why not? Why not be free to be yourself? Why not allow them to be free? Because believe me, they'll trust you more if you just allow them the freedom to be themselves. And that's something that I had to learn. I fought with it, tried to come between it. I tried to destroy it, you know? But me destroying what my baby is about and not letting her be free would be destroying our relationship, you know? So why not? Why not allow her to be free? So I had to accept. I had to accept her and be. Why? Because I want my baby to be free, to be who she is, to do what she wants, and to love freely. Love freely means loving unconditionally. And a lot of people don't understand what that means, to love unconditionally. That means without conditions, no limitations, no control. That is love. That's what love is. And as a couple, you should be able to have the adventures that you want to have in life, regardless of what it is. You should be free to be able to have those adventures. Why? Because y'all only got one life to live, man. And if you vow to be together forever, then why not? Why not have these adventures? Why not have fun? Why not think outside of the box? Why not have fun outside of the box? You only live once. Try new things, do new things. Learn to trust in a different type of way. You feel me? I don't know what's going on with the Instagram, but yeah, trust. Trust is a very hard issue for a lot of people, but sometimes you just have to trust yourself to let go of the things that you thought life is supposed to be like and start embracing freedom. Freedom to do what you want. Freedom to allow somebody else to be free. And that's what I had to learn. So I let my baby be free. Stop putting limitations on her. I stopped putting limitations on myself. Because me not allowing her to be free put limitations on me. Put limitations on me. And you never know what blessings come into your life if you just allow yourself to be free. You know, if you just allow the other person to be free. So I had to. I had to embrace freedom because I know all too well how it feels to be trapped, to be cornered, to have conditions in life. I know that feeling. Every time I went to Tennessee and I went to church, I felt so trapped. I felt like I couldn't be myself. I had to have conditions. And that was hard for me. Now I know my family don't understand why I didn't come around. But I didn't come around because I didn't have the freedom to be myself. I had to be somebody else who I wasn't. You know, and sometimes in relationships, your woman, like my baby, she will do anything to please me. But I don't want her to do that because doing anything to please me will make her unhappy. So I have to release those limitations so that she wouldn't be unhappy. Because you control a person in a relationship, it's only going to last so long. But if you allow them to be free, that relationship can last forever and forever. I know. Had I been free to be myself, I would have never left my family. You know? So I had to learn that. I had to learn that. So when I went back home, when my dad died, I decided, man, I was not going to wear a dress this time. No, no, no. I decided I was going to be myself. Why? Because I was tired of changing who I was. Tired of pretending to be something that I wasn't. I was tired of that. Why? Because expectations. People put a lot of expectations on you. They expect you to be a certain type of way, you know, and those limitations can hinder you. They can make your life miserable, can make your life hard, you know. And so this time I decided, man, I'm going to be myself. But you know what? When I was myself, wearing my clothes, you know, because I'm masculine, I like wearing men clothes. I don't like wearing women clothes, you know. I can't stand when people look at me and they're like, oh, why she not wearing no girly stuff? Nah, because I ain't girly. Just get it straight. I'm not girly. I'm a stud, man. Studs are like dudes. We don't dress so girly. We dress dudeish. You heard me? We dress like guys. Just like B, she's allowed to be herself. Why? Because she wants to dress girly sometimes, and sometimes she wants to dress dudely. That's up to her. You feel me? That's up to her. And I love the fact that my baby loves me for who I am. I love that. Because she's giving me the freedom to be myself around her and her family. You know? Sometimes when you meet people's family and they look at you and they see you a stud, they got some frown. Mom's looking like, oh, no, you didn't bring her home. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's hard for your family to accept who you are, let alone your significant other. They feel like you're supposed to be a certain type of way. But you don't have to be. You could be free to be yourself. Because ain't nothing like freedom. Ain't nothing like freedom. Who said that there are rules in life that you can't be free? Who said that? That's what that slave mentality taught us, is that we have to put limitations on ourselves. But we really don't. This is your life. This is our life. We don't have to have limitations. We can do what the heck we want to do. Why? Because we're free to do it. And that's important. I've seen many times where people, you know, especially guys, you guys have it hard in the gay community. because they don't feel like a guy should be gay at all. They don't have a problem with a woman being gay, but a guy being gay, that's a problem in the gay community, let alone a bisexual man. How many bisexual men do you know? It's not many. You know why? Because they in the closet. They not coming out that closet. They don't want nobody to know because they are so hard on the gay guys that they feel ashamed to be themselves. And women are so hard on these bisexual men that they don't want to be with a bisexual man. They want to put limitations on a dude because he's bisexual. You're mad because he ain't dating women, or you mad because he is and he dating men too. Why y'all mad at him? Let him be himself. He's free. He's free to be himself. Just like bisexual women, they date both. They date whoever they feel like it. You feel me? They got people out here that don't even have a preference. There's a girl that might date a drag queen, might date a dude that, wear dresses, and it's normal. Because why? Because people are free. They are free to do what they want to do. That's what life is all about, freedom, man. There's no rules in life, man. There's no rules that say we can't do what we want to do. There's no rules that say we can't, have sexual relations with who we want to have sexual relations with, or be in a relationship with who we want to be in a relationship with. There is no rules on that. Who made them rules stating that you can't? Because you can. The only rules that you can't do is like minors. That's the only thing that is a rule that you can't do, because that in itself is wrong. But when it comes to an adulthood, you can do what you want to do. My daughters, they come to me, they bisexual. My daughters are bisexual. They date both men and women. And I'm not about to tell them no different, man. I ain't about to tell them they can't do that. Because I want them to be free to be themselves. I just tell them whoever they date, and just make sure they don't hurt them, just make sure that they the right person that they want to be with, and I see that my daughters, sometimes they get hurt, in their relationships, because why? Even when they're young, they're not faithful, they're not in a faithful relationship. These people decide they want to be with this person, or they want to be with that person, and it hurts them, but that's because we put those limitations on our kids. We put them limitations to tell them that, hey, make sure the person is faithful to you, and I think about it, because I'm not a cheater. I don't like to cheat. And if you're in an open relationship, you don't have to worry about cheating, right? You don't even have to worry about that person going out, and being with somebody else on you. Because an open relationship just means this: you are together. It's just that they want other people sometimes. And then they'll come home to you. That doesn't mean your relationship is going to break up. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be together. It just means that you have the freedom to be yourself in that relationship. And so do they. So that's what freedom is all about. Freedom and trust. And you have to be able to trust that person in order to have an open relationship. There has to be trust there. Has to be trust. You got to trust that you're not going to hurt each other. I couldn't understand the relationships, and sometimes when you look at white people's relationships, a lot of them, they're married based on circumstance. They're married based on circumstance because it's all about keeping the money in the family. It's all about building a business in the family, building, lineage in the family. And a lot of those relationships, they're free to do what they want to do. Some of them, they're free. But they're such a good couple that, they're not just in a relationship, but they're in a business ship too. Whereas they're building a whole entire empire, a whole entire business. So having that open relationship opens many doors. It opens many avenues, not just freedom, but also money-wise. wise, also, family wise. You have more family members. So yeah, I got more family members now. Be in the family now, I'm a part of the family now, and we just have to accept that. Accept the fact that we're not gonna be a normal, because there's no such thing as normal. We're not gonna be traditional, because there's no such thing as traditional. No such thing as traditional. Your relationship can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be traditional. It doesn't have to be regular. I listen to my son, and he got friends that have titles that I don't even understand. They don't want to be called a male or a female, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what do I call him? What do I call him? But he got friends like that, and he's like that too, whereas he doesn't have an identity. So he chooses whatever he chooses. If he chooses to be with a girl one day, he chooses that. If he chooses to be with a guy one day, he chooses that. These kids nowadays, they totally different from us. We grew up with so many traditions and limitations that, that's how we live our lives, because we thought that that's how it's supposed to be. But these kids are really teaching me. They teach me a lot. They teach me that, hey, there is no certain way to be, but free. Free to be yourself. So I allow my kids to be who they are, no matter who they choose to be, because I want them to be able to trust me with their most intimate secrets. Trust me to allow them to be themselves and not judgment. I don't want to limit them. I want them to trust me. Because why? That's what love is all about. It's about loving them unconditionally. My son knew he could come to me because he couldn't go to his mother. His mother, who put limitations on him and told him, son, you can't be gay. That doesn't happen in our family. We're religious. But when I met your mother, she was gay. She may not be gay now, but she was then. Okay. So for her to be hard on our son just because, she not gay anymore, that's not right. You was gay at one time. How you gonna tell him he can't be gay? He could do what he want to do. That ain't right. So why would you do that to him? People forget their past. They forget who they once were. So how you gonna tell our son he can't be gay just because you not gay no more? That ain't right. Let him be who he wants to be. He's free to be who he wants to be. And so he know he could come to me, somebody who's not going to judge him, somebody that's not going to look at him in a certain type of way, because why? I want him to be free to be himself. I want him to be free. And that's where that trust come in at, because he know he could come to me for anything. If he need to talk to me about anything, my daughters, they talk to me about anything, like no matter what it is. And you want to have that type of trust in your family. Why? Because you don't want them to go outside of the family and go talk to somebody else. They might not give them the right advice. As a matter of fact, they might be a world of trouble for your kids, So you want them to be able to trust you. You want to have that open door policy. Just like a job, you have an open door policy just in case you need to go talk to them about something that's intimate or something that's, personal. It should be the same in a relationship. It should be an open door policy for them to be open to do what they want to do. There's a saying, and I knew this saying a long time ago when I met my baby 20 years ago, that you let a person be free. You let them go to be free. And if they come back to you, then they've always been yours, right? They never went nowhere. My baby has always been mine. That's the reason why 20 years later, we're together. Because I allowed her to be free. Okay? So you have to allow people the freedom to be themselves. Because a cage bird can't sing. You don't want to cage them up and put them in a bottle. You'll smother them like that. They won't be able to breathe around you, not being themselves. We learned anything nowadays in this world is that a relationship doesn't have to be a certain type of way. It could be any type of way that you want it to be. I listen to Will and Jada Smith talk about they ain't having no sexual relations, That's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's why they have an open relationship. But it works for them. It works for them so much that they're still together. Even though they don't have the greatest sexual relationship, they are still together. What does that tell you? That tells you that freedom is important. Freedom is important. Freedom is important. You feel me? It's important. Not their love can last forever and ever and ever. Why? Because they love each other. When you decide that you love somebody, when you decide that you trust somebody and you don't put limitations on them, it can last longer. Most people relationships break up because of trust. Because they don't trust each other. And that's rough. I've seen many families fall apart because of that trust factor. Either the man has infidelity or the woman has infidelity. But if you guys had an open relationship, just imagine y'all would have stayed together. Y'all would not be apart right now. But y'all are apart. Why? Because you don't have an open relationship. You don't have that trust in the relationship. Why? Because you put limitations on each other. So be open. Be open-minded. Be open-minded. If my woman decides she want to bring home a third woman, then so be it. Because why? I don't want to put no limitations on her. I want her to be free to be herself. I don't want to put no limitations on myself either. Sometimes putting those limitations are hard in a relationship. It can hinder your relationship. It can put a damper on your relationship. So you don't want that. You want to give them the freedom to be themselves. Just like I give my kids the freedom. Now, how I'm going to tell my kids they could be free to do something if I ain't doing it, I don't want my kids to be hurt by any relationship. And most of the time they get hurt because why? There's infidelity. They so young to expect so much. But if they don't have expectations, if they don't have limitations, then they won't have to worry about being hurt, right? The same goes for me. I won't be hurt if I stop thinking a certain way, if I stop putting limitations on myself and on my baby. So I had to stop. I had to realize I'm hurting myself by putting limitations on her. By telling her she can't do something, I'm hurting me. Because when you expect a person to be a certain way or do a certain thing, and they don't do it, that's hurt. When you don't trust a person, that's hurt. So you got to trust them. And if you trust them with your heart, you got to trust that no matter what they do, they're going to always love you. That's love. That's trust. So yeah, babe, I'm going to always deal with it, no matter what it is, because I love you. And I want you in my life forever. So I don't care what it is anymore. What I care about is you. What I care about is us. What I care about is love. I can go out there and find somebody else, sure. They will never love me like you. So why not? Why not be in a loving, caring, beautiful relationship rather than something that is difficult? Anyway, God bless. I just wanted to talk about trust because trust is big to me. It's big to me. And I feel like if I can't be myself around you, and if you put me in a box or you feel you have all these high expectations, I don't want to have to walk on eggshells in my relationship, and I wouldn't want my woman to either. My woman felt like she couldn't even be comfortable to be herself. Because why? I kept putting limitations on her. I kept, trying to stop her from being who she is. So I don't want to put those limits on her anymore. I just want her to be free to be herself. So we can stay together forever. I'm not going to put those limitations on myself either. Because when I do, it limits me. I'm not going to do that now. So I hope this Stud Chronicles help anybody who, thought about their life and what they want to do with their life and how they think they should be. You don't have to be a certain way. Don't listen to those people that tell you that you do. Don't listen to them. There's so many religious people out here in the world that just always want to tell you how you're supposed to be. No, I'm supposed to be free. God made me free. I'm not supposed to be in captivity. I'm supposed to be able to do what I want to do. So I don't care what nobody say. The whole reason of me not going around my family is because I wasn't free to be me. I wasn't free at all. I felt so trapped. Felt so bad. Because I couldn't be myself. And I know how that feels. So if my family would have trust that I knew what I was doing, they ain't trust that. They was like, oh, she gay. She don't know what the hell she doing, At first, my mama and all them, they thought it was a phase. No, it ain't no phase. I'm still gay, Ain't no phase. This is who I am, But they thought it was some type of phase. Like it's just like it's a stain and then you could just wipe it off. It's going to go away. No, it doesn't go away. It stays with you because this is who you are. This is who you are. So yeah. And my mother, a lot of the reasons why she wouldn't let me in the house, I couldn't, like, if I needed a place to stay, I can't go by my mom. Because she don't trust me. She don't trust, and a lot of them, they don't trust that I'm not going to have friends by their house, because she got her little rules and her limitations and stuff like that, but I'm grown. Why can't I have company? But, that's how your parents are. They don't want you to have them type of relations in their house, you know what I'm saying? So, of course not. But she should trust that I'm not going to hurt her. I'm not going to do anything bad in the house, but she don't have that trust. So it's hard for me to be around her when it comes to that. Why? Because she don't trust that. She don't trust me on that level, Granted, I did a lot of things when I was younger, but you grow up, man. You don't go through the same things over and over again. You become a different person. They can't hold that against you, but they do. They hold it against you. So, but trust is a strong factor, man. It's hard to trust. But most of the time, it's because of the limitations that you're putting on that person is the reason why you can't trust them. It's the limitations you're putting on yourself. When you decide that you're limiting somebody else, you put those same limitations on yourself. And those limitations mean that you're not going to trust this person if they do this, or if they want to live this type of life, or if they are this way, Just like when I look at the marriage boot camp and the guy in there is bisexual, and his girl, she can't trust him because in her mind, she put limitations on this dude. He bisexual, but she don't want him to be. She want him to only be with her. But he bisexual. How you gonna tell him to only be with you? He want to be with a dude too. Do you know how smooth your relationship would go if you just don't limit him? And you trust that he loves you no matter what he does? Because there are a lot of bisexual men out here that can't live their life because of the expectations that life brings. The expectation that society puts on them that say they have to choose one. They can't have two. They can't have both ways. Does he love you? Does he take care of you? Is he sensitive about your feelings? Does he care about what you care about? Is he bringing you all the love in the world? Then why you tripping? Because of who he go have sex with? That shouldn't matter. What should matter is if he coming home to you, if he's still showing you the same love, that is what should matter. As long as he don't come home with no diseases, then that's what matters. So why not? Why not trust him to be himself? If you trust him to be himself, guess what? Your relationship will go far because you ain't fighting for that relationship because you don't want him. You fighting for that relationship because you love him. And you still want him. But in order to want him, you have to accept him for who he is. And once you accept him, then you should be able to trust him. Trust. Because the minute you trust him and you accept him, then your relationship will last longer, even longer than what you thought, because you're the only person in his life that is accepting him for who he is, for who he is. So in that relationship, in the marriage boot camp, she should just trust him. Because trusting a person and allowing them the freedom to be themselves makes them love you even more. Y'all can have something that nobody else can have because it takes a lot of trust to be in a open relationship, but it also takes a lot of freedom. And once you give them that freedom factor, then there should be no more hurt because there's understanding. There's trust. The only reason why you're not trusting people is because of the limitations that you're putting on them. But once you allow them to be themselves and to be free, you don't have to worry about the trust. The trust will be there. So will the love. So will the freedom. So I had to learn that. Why put limitations on life? Why not have fun and do what you want to do? Why? Because you can. You can do what you want to do. That's what freedom is. We all know too well what freedom isn't. So how about we allow ourselves to be free? And teach our kids that too, man. Because I'm not about to put no limitations on my kid and say you can't be with this, you can't be with... Nah, you do what you want to. As long as you're happy, I want you to have the freedom to be yourself. All right? So I hope you like the Stud Chronicles, you guys. I will have more. Make sure you follow me. I'm on FM Anchor FM. The link is in the bio. So you can get some more information on my Stud Chronicles. Also go to YouTube for D-Lyrics Official. So you can get some more Stud Chronicle videos. All right. God bless you. Have a good day.
Recording stopped.